Okay, welcome back again. Remember in our last lesson we moved our container div so our web page or our content area was sitting just 3% from the left and 3% from the top. Probably a little bit easier to see in this view, so I'll pop it in design view. We're just going to have a look at changing some of the colors now in that particular layout. So remember we took down some colors in our fireworks from the copy background. We're going to use those colors in our divs to give us our background colors, and we're going to play with the opacity a little bit just to see if we can get a bit of a funky look. Before we do that, one of the things we need to make a change because our container div has something that I don't want. And remember, your container div is the whole page or the whole div area there. It sits around the outside. It actually has a background color which I want to remove. So I'm going up to my container div, into background. I'm just going to get clear. You can see it's white. That color it's got in there, I'm just going to delete that color out of there, and I'm going to press OK. Now what you might notice when that happens is that white is being used as the background for the content area, which I don't particularly want. I probably do need some color in there, so I'm going to have to reapply that white back into the content area. So go back over to our CSS panel, go down to content, and we'll go to background, and we'll pop in white in that background. Okay, that puts our white back in our content area. So instead of having white sitting in the background of everything, we have just white in the content area, that darker grey in the navigation area, and lighter grey in the header area, and down in the footer area, that same light grey colour again. Okay, let's do some colour changing. Now, I'll start with the header. So we'll go up to the header area, and I'm going to come over to my CSS panel. I like to work from there, and go to my header tag at the top. Okay. Now in the header, I'm going to go to the background color, and you can see it's set to CCC. Now I wrote down on pieces of paper those colors I'd like to use, and the one I'm going to try out is 241008. So 241008, and I'm going to press apply, and you can see that dark brown color now has gone into the background color on that header. Okay, doesn't look that great because the text doesn't really stand out, but I'm happy with that color for the moment. I'm going to have a play with that and see if I like it. And remember, when you're designing with websites, a lot of it is play, a lot of it is trying things out, changing colors slightly, changing things up and down to see what it's like. So I'll stick with that one for the moment. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to use that same color for the menu as well. So I'm going to press OK. Going to come down to our navigation one. So there it is over there, our navigation rule, into the background again, change that one to the same thing. Mine is 241008. Press OK. Alright, you can see that's done for there as well. I'm going to do it for the footer as well, so I'll come back down to the footer, double click, into background, and 241008. Okay, I don't particularly want that particular color. I'm going to actually change the opacity to see if I can get a bit of a funky look. See if I can get some of the beans showing through in the background. Now, I can't do that in Dreamweaver itself. I need to go into the CSS. Well, I can do it in Dreamweaver, but I need to go into the script to do it. So it's just not saved at the moment. So I'm going to Control-S on my CSS file just to save those things. Go back to my design view. Okay, I'm still seeing it in my design view, just wasn't saved. So now I'm going to go back up to, over to the code view, and I'm going to have a look at the CSS. Now we need to find the header one. There's our header one there, and there's the things that apply to our header. It's got a padding of 20 and a background color of 241008. Okay, I just put that in, so I know that's there. I'm going to click at the end of that semicolon on the color, press enter, and I'm going to put in a new one. So it's called opacity, this one. It's the same as transparency. And I'm going to put in 0.5 semicolon. What we're going to do is have a look at that and see what that looks like. So I press Control-S to save that. I go back to design view and I click in there and nothing really changes. Now, remember I told you in the preview panel, you don't always get all the changes. So Dreamweaver can't handle that actual opacity setting. We need to go out to the browser to have a look at it and see what it looks like. So I'm going to press F12 to open that up in a browser. And there you go, now you can see it. You can see that our opacity has been set, and I must have left an opacity on the menu there. It's got an opacity as well, but our header section has been set to 0.5. Okay, and I can see the beans through it. In fact, it's almost too much opacity, so I might reset the opacity on that. I'll come back to Dreamweaver and go back into my style CSS, and I had it at 0.5. Let's up it a bit to 0.7. Must have set that one. It's in there by mistake. We'll get rid of that one. That was in our navigation. We'll press Control-S. let's go back out now to our browser file, and we'll just refresh that and see what that looks like. Okay, I can still see the beams through there. I'm starting to see the title there. It's even though it's in black and it's hard to read, but I can see that the opacity is actually set on the font as well. So that's interesting that the opacity affects everything that's inside the div, not just the background color. So I need to have a think about that. Okay, I'm not going to use black text up the top because obviously it's unreadable, but I want to see what it looks like in white text. So I might apply that opacity to that navigation area as well and see what I get. So let's have a look. Let's go down to, well, let's just copy our opacity that we took out of the header. So Control C to copy, come down to navigation, click at the end, press enter to make a new line, and press Control V to paste that in. Okay, so now I have opacity at 0.7 on the navigation. I'll press Control S, come back out to my browser and press refresh. Okay, now my menu or my navigation area is also set at 0.7 and I can see the white text on there. Yeah, not too bad. Okay, it's certainly readable, so white set at 0.7 is not too bad. I don't mind that look. It gives it a bit of a classy sort of look, so I might stick with that. I might change it a little later, but I'm quite happy with that. So we'll go back to Dreamweaver and we'll just do that same setting down in the footer in the CSS file. Go to the last one, press enter and Control V. Control S to save. Come back out to our browser, press refresh, and we should see the footer change. Once again, the black text is no good, but we can fix that up later. Okay, that's quite funky. I might do something too with our content area as well. Now that's nice and white there, and I might leave it white, but I might change the opacity just to see what that looks like as well. So at the moment it's white, so let's go to content area. There it is there. Let's put our same opacity setting in at 0.7. Let's press Control S, come back out to our browser, press refresh. Ooh, okay, that's funky. It looks through. I can still read the text, so it's not too bad. Look, I don't mind that at the moment. I probably might keep that the way it is. It's looking fairly good. I might chuck that up a little bit. Why don't I put it up a little bit just to try it out? So I'll come back to Dreamweaver. We can do part bits. So we could do 0.85. Okay, and see what that one looks like. Come back out to our browser. Press refresh. Okay, so you can still see the beams through the white area, but you've just got a little bit easier to read the text, and I want to make sure that my text is comfortable for reading, so I might leave it like that. I think that looks fairly good, and my site's starting to really take shape. Because I used the colours that were in the beams, that header and that footer look quite nice. Looks like it's meant to be, not just colours that I just happened to come across. I actually thought about them, so that looks good. Okay, well done with that.